People said the frontier could swallow a soul whole, but no one ever told Cowboy. Luke Mercer, it could also deliver one back to him, half alive, covered in snow, and whispering his name like a final prayer. The mail-order bride he thought had abandoned him had never made it to town at all, and the moment he found the shattered wagon, he realized he wasn't just fighting for love, he was fighting for her life. The wind clawed through the open prairie as Luke Mercer tightened his reins, squinting toward the horizon. She was supposed to arrive 2 days ago, Evelyn Hart, the mail-order bride he had written to for months. Her letters were delicate, written with graceful loops, promising hope, warmth, and a chance at building a life together. In every word she'd sent, Luke had found a softness he didn't know he'd been starved for, but she never came. The townsfolk whispered. She ran off. She found someone better. Cowboy like him. She probably changed her mind. Luke tried to ignore them, but the ache in his chest sharpened each time he reread her last letter. Luke, I am not afraid of the journey. What frightens me is not reaching you in time. He felt it in his bones. Something was wrong. So he saddled Copper, his loyal chestnut horse, and rode toward the stage trail where her wagon should have passed. The land smelled of pine and cold dust. Hours passed, then half a day, and just when doubt began to creep into him, the wind carried a faint metallic scent, broken wood, damp earth, and something else. Wreckage. The wagon lay half buried in snow and mud. Wheels snapped, luggage strewn across the bushes. A torn piece of blue fabric fluttered from a branch, Evelyn's favorite color. Luke's heart choked. He leapt from Copper, searching the debris, calling her name until his voice cracked. He found an empty trunk, letters scattered, a single shoe, and beside the frozen stream, drag marks, as if someone weak had crawled or tried to. He followed them with breathless urgency, stumbling across icy ground, slipping but refusing to stop. The marks ended beside a fallen tree, where a faint moan trembled through the cold air. Luke dropped to his knees. There she was, Evelyn, her skin pale, lips blue, fingers stiff around a torn satchel. Snow had gathered in her hair, framing her like fragile porcelain. "Luke," she whispered, barely audible. I didn't leave you." His chest cracked open with relief and sorrow all at once. He gathered her into his arms, feeling her trembling breath against him. "You're safe now." "I've got you." "I'm here." She tried to smile, but her eyes fluttered shut. Luke knew she didn't have much time. Night was coming, and the mountains didn't show mercy. He covered her in his coat, lifted her onto Copper, and rode through the freezing dusk with one promise to himself. No one he cared for would die alone on this land, not if he could still draw breath. The cabin door slammed open as Luke burst inside, holding Evelyn close. He laid her gently on the warm bed near the hearth, hands shaking as he stoked the fire higher. Snow melted from her lashes, revealing soft brown eyes flickering between pain and trust. He made broth, wrapped her in blankets, rubbed her hands to bring back warmth. Hours passed. Every time she drifted toward unconsciousness, he whispered, "Stay with me." "Evelyn, stay." Finally, near dawn, color returned to her cheeks. "You came for me," she murmured, voice hoarse but alive. "How could I not?" Luke answered, pulling a chair close. "You crossed half the country just for a chance at a new life. The least I could do was ride a few miles to find you." She swallowed hard. "When the wagon crashed, I thought I would die without ever meeting you. And I wanted to meet the man who wrote me such kind letters." He lowered his eyes. "People said you'd changed your mind." Evelyn's throat tightened. "Luke, I never changed my heart. I prayed you wouldn't believe I abandoned you." "I didn't," he said quietly. "Something in me kept telling me you needed me." Tears rolled down her cheeks, not from weakness, but from release. The next days were slow healing. Luke stayed by her side, feeding her, warming herbal cloths, reading aloud from her own letters just to make her smile. She learned his silence wasn't coldness, but a shield he'd carried his whole life. He learned her gentleness wasn't fragility, it was courage wearing lace. The snowstorms outside raged for 3 days. Inside, a bond formed that no letter could have captured. On the 4th morning, Evelyn stood weakly by the window, wrapped in a quilt. Luke approached quietly, his hat in his hands. "You don't owe me anything," he said softly. You can stay here until you're strong enough. Then decide if you still want the life we talked about. She turned, eyes glistening, not with fear but with certainty. Luke, you saved my life. You searched for me when everyone else assumed I didn't matter. Why would I want a life anywhere but beside the man who refused to give up on me? For the first time in years, Luke let himself hope. He stepped forward, gently taking her hand. I'm not perfect, he whispered. I'm not asking for perfect, she replied. Just someone who shows up. He smiled, small, real, the kind that changes a life. And in that quiet cabin, surrounded by snow and second chances, they decided that the frontier wouldn't swallow them after all. It would be the place where their story finally began.